Steven Spielberg has seen it all in Hollywood, so when he chooses his 5 favorite actors of all time, you know it means something special. Which performances left him speechless? Who left the deepest mark on one of the greatest living directors? The 5th actor on this list will surely leave you stunned. Now, let's go through the 5 legendary actors who, according to Spielberg, defined what true acting really means. First, we have the incredible Spencer Tracy. Spencer Tracy didn't need to shout, cry, or make grand gestures to capture your attention. He became one of Hollywood's most admired actors, and the amazing part is he did it without gimmicks or exaggeration on screen. Spielberg once told Stanley Kubrick, "With Tracy, you never saw the effort of acting, but he could move you with just a glance." That's how authentic he felt. No theatrics or big speeches, just pure truth in every moment. He won 2 consecutive Oscars, first for playing a kind-hearted fisherman in Captain's Courageous, 1937, and then as a priest helping troubled young men in Boys Town, 1938. These roles move people without them even knowing why. Even in his final film, Guess Who's Coming to Dinner, 1967, when he was already sick and near the end of his life, he delivered one of his most moving performances as a father confronting his own prejudices. That role earned him a posthumous Oscar nomination, and of course, we can't forget his on-screen chemistry with Katharine Hepburn. Together, they made 9 films, like Adam's Rib and Woman of the Year. Their connection felt so natural, it seemed like they had their own private language. Spielberg said, "What set Spencer Tracy apart was that he didn't act to show off. He acted to tell the truth." No wonder actors like Marlon Brando admired him. Tracy proved that sometimes the quietest performances are the ones that last the longest. Next, of course, is Henry Fonda, and Henry Fonda had an incredible gift for making the simplest moments on screen feel like the most important ones. He didn't need to raise his voice or overact. He was the kind of actor who could stand in the center of a shot and hold your full attention without doing anything flashy. Spielberg once said, "Fonda had an impressive dignity. He could be at the center of a scene and dominate it without saying a word." For example, in The Grapes of Wrath, 1940, Fonda played Tom Joad, a migrant struggling to keep his family together during the Great Depression. His performance was so raw and real, it earned him an Oscar nomination. But it was the final scene, where Tom, with nothing left but his determination to fight for justice, that left an indelible mark. Spielberg explained, "What made Fonda great was that he didn't try to show you his emotions. He just let them flow naturally, and that was enough." Another iconic role was in 12 Angry Men, 1957, where Fonda played juror number 8, the calm and reasonable voice in a room full of tension. While the others yelled and pointed fingers, Fonda remained composed, firm, and steady. Spielberg said he was the anchor of 12 Angry Men. It was like watching someone who could stand strong against anything without losing his calm. That silent strength, that was Fonda. Even in his later years, he continued to shine. In On Golden Pond, 1981, he played a grumpy but lovable father trying to reconnect with his daughter. Already in his 70s, his performance was so powerful he finally won the Oscar. Spielberg reflected, even in his last years, Fonda never lost his touch. He brought a depth that went beyond age. In 3rd place, we have James Stewart. James Stewart was the kind of actor who made you feel like you knew him personally. Spielberg said, "Stewart had a unique ability to be vulnerable and strong at the same time. You believed him. He made you care about him. He inspired you to be a better person. That's why he stood out." Whether in a comedy or a drama, Stewart always managed to make audiences feel like he was a friend, someone you could trust. One of his most unforgettable roles was in It's a Wonderful Life, 1946, where he played George Bailey. In the film, George is on the verge of despair, convinced the world would be better off without him. But as the story unfolds, he realizes how much he truly means to the people around him. Stewart's performance is so emotional you can feel his pain and hope in every scene. Spielberg said Stewart had a special gift for turning the simplest moments into something powerful. Although the film wasn't a success at first, over time it became a Christmas tradition for millions. But Stewart didn't just play the kind-hearted hero, he also embraced much darker roles. For example, in Vertigo, 1958, he portrayed a detective whose obsession with a case slowly destroys his life. This different side of Stewart showed his incredible versatility. He could make you laugh in The Philadelphia Story, 1940, and keep you on the edge of your seat in Vertigo. His ability to connect with audiences, no matter the genre, is the reason he's still remembered as one of the greatest actors. And now, it's time for one of Spielberg's favorites, Cary Grant. Let's talk about a man who made elegance look effortless. Cary Grant, born Archibald Leach in Bristol, England, was a skinny working-class kid nobody expected to become one of Hollywood's biggest stars. He had a smooth accent, a charming smile, and walked into a room as if he owned it. Steven Spielberg once said, Grant could do anything. And that really says it all. He wasn't just handsome. He had a natural sense of humor, flawless comedic timing, and a way of handling dramatic moments that felt completely authentic. Nothing about him was forced. He was simply Cary Grant. It's stunning to realize he starred in 72 films in just 34 years. It wasn't just that he was busy, he was everywhere. He could go from wild screwball comedies to serious thrillers without missing a beat. One minute you see him running from a crop duster in North by Northwest, and the next he's tumbling over furniture in arsenic and old lace like a professional clown. What's surprising is that he never won a traditional Oscar. He received an honorary one in 1970, which felt more like a late recognition than a true award. But his fans didn't need the Academy's approval to know how great he was. His films with Katharine Hepburn, like Bringing Up Baby and The Philadelphia Story, still make audiences laugh today. In Bringing Up Baby, he played a clumsy paleontologist who ends up chasing after a leopard. Sounds crazy, right? And it was. The film was profitable at the time, and Grant's comic expressions and perfect timing made it all work. In North by Northwest, where he's mistaken for a spy, you simply can't take your eyes off him. The way he speaks, runs, flirts, and survives danger, it's pure cinematic joy. What made him special wasn't just his sharp suits or clever lines, it was how everything felt so natural and fluid. There was a lightness to his acting that was masterful. Spielberg added, "That's true, he never forced anything. Whether he was charming Audrey Hepburn in Charade or keeping secrets in To Catch a Thief, he did it all with that calm confidence. Even when the scene turned chaotic, Cary Grant never seemed out of place." On top of that, Grant was very physical. He could fall, trip, or do a somersault and never miss a line. Today we praise actors for doing their own stunts, but Cary Grant was already doing it back in the 1940s. If you've ever tried to be funny while falling down a flight of stairs and still look good, you know it's not easy. Now let's move on to another Hollywood legend. The last, but certainly not least, Clark Gable. Clark Gable earned the title the King of Hollywood, and he truly deserved it. Steven Spielberg once said, there was something larger than life about Gable, and he wasn't wrong. Gable didn't just act, he set the standard for what a movie star should look and sound like. He had a rugged charm that worked perfectly on screen. He wasn't refined like Cary Grant, he was more of a strong, confident man, but he also knew when to show sensitivity. His big break came with Gone with the Wind, 1939, where he played Rhett Butler, a role that became iconic both in Margaret Mitchell's novel and on film. That movie wasn't just popular, it became a cultural phenomenon. Adjusted for today's inflation, it grossed nearly $400 million and is still talked about more than 80 years later. Gable's line, "Frankly, my dear, I don't give a damn," became one of the most famous quotes in film history. But even before that, Gable had already won an Oscar for It Happened One Night, a romantic comedy that shocked everyone by sweeping the 5 major Academy Awards. He played a reporter helping a runaway heiress, mixing humor, charisma, and intelligence in a performance that audiences adored. The film was cheap to make, but hugely profitable, something studios loved. He also had amazing on-screen chemistry with actresses like Jean Harlow and Joan Crawford, and audiences couldn't get enough of them together. Off-screen, Gable was just as bold. During World War II, he flew combat missions as a gunner, proving his courage wasn't just for the movies. In his final film, The Misfits, he starred alongside Marilyn Monroe. Though his health was failing, he still delivered a memorable performance before passing away shortly afterward, leaving behind an unforgettable legacy. Spielberg admired Gable's ability to be both powerful and tender at once. The director said he dominated the screen, but never lost that genuine emotion. So what about you? Which of these actors do you prefer? Do you agree with Spielberg's choices, or do you have other favorites of your own?